The Godfather Eddie Lyons Snr struggling to hide his pain as he said a final farewell to murdered son Eddie Jnr, who was laid to rest with lifelong Lyons gang pal Ross Monaghan. The pair were gunned down in a gangland execution in the Costa del Sol almost 5 weeks ago. But as Eddie Sr arrived at the crematorium in Bishopbriggs along with hundreds of mourners, the strain was understandably taking its toll. Close pal and Lyons associate Liam Boyle could be seen in the family cars with visibly distraught relatives of the men who both had wreaths saying Dad and Son placed in their respective hearses. Another flourish of white roses spelling the name Ross could also be seen resting beside Monaghan's mahogany coffin as the vehicle slowly approached around 400 mourners waiting for the service to begin. Women cried and held each other while a number of male associates of the pair stood together to form two parallel lines at the entrance to the crematorium in a guard of honour. Both coffins, which were dark wood, were taken into the crematorium, along with family members including crime boss Eddie Lyons Snr, who were surrounded by a security team. One onlooker said, "Eddie looked like a broken man. He was pale and had to be led into the crematorium by a security team. His son was murdered and Ross was as good as his boy. The service was touching and at times funny, but nobody should forget just how dangerous Monaghan and Lyons were. They'd just have keenly seen their rivals' parents cry at their funerals." An order of service with a Celtic-style engraving was handed out to mourners, showing close pals Monaghan sporting a greying red beard and Lyons grinning for a photo taken in happier times. Eddie Lyons Snr, who's now 67, was seen huddling closely with loved ones as the coffins were carried inside to make their final journey. The coffins were placed side by side as dozens of mourners squeezed into the main building where many stood in aisles with every seat taken. A quote from the Coldplay song Everglow was used in tribute to Monaghan, reading, "Oh, they say people come, say people go. This particular diamond was extra special." Pictures were included beside the ode dubbed Our Hero that showed Monaghan wearing shades, enjoying a pint of Guinness and sharing a precious moment with his children. A gallery of pictures in tribute to Eddie included a snap with his dad when he was just a baby. It read, "We hold your heart in our hearts. We love you always, forever." The service was streamed to a screen outside where hundreds more listened in silence, with many sheltering from the downpour under umbrellas. A eulogy described the impact their deaths have had on their loved ones, saying for these two families, the grieving process has begun. This can be like the ocean. Some days it might be calm and they can almost cope. Other days it will threaten to overwhelm them and drown them. Everyone in this room has been touched by Edward and Ross in some way. Let's take a few moments to remember them in our hearts and recall once more things about each of us that they loved and admired and cherished about them. The sons, brothers, husbands, dads, cousins, and the loyal and trusted friends. Eddie Lyons Jr. and Ross Monaghan were both executed by a masked gunman as they watched the Champions League final in Monaghan's bar in Fuengirola at the end of May. Lyons Jr. was shot dead on the street and died at the scene, while the attacker chased Monaghan inside, firing several shots before killing one of the Lyons' leading figures. Police Scotland said afterwards that there wasn't a link to the Daniel crime family, but that was hotly disputed by Spanish police, who said the man they believe carried out the killing is a Daniel gang member. 44-year-old Michael Riley from Houghton in Liverpool has been charged with murder and is fighting extradition. He'll appear in court in London in October. Career criminal Monaghan, who fled Scotland for Spain after a failed attempt on his life outside a Glasgow primary school in 2017, was tried but acquitted over the murder of notorious Glasgow hood Kevin Gerbil Carroll at an Asda car park in 2010. In August 2017, he and Eddie Lyons Jr. were cleared of being involved in a brutal street attack on 3 men outside the Campsie bar in Bishopbriggs. But almost 8 years later, the pair were shot dead in the Costa del Sol as part of a tit-for-tat gang war over the lucrative drugs trade that has seen violence spill onto the streets of Scotland over the last 4 months. And insiders are warning there will be revenge for the pair's deaths, and the Lyons clan are allies of the all-powerful Irish Kinahan drug cartel. The bodies of Eddie Lyons Jr. and Ross Monaghan were then interred to a cover version of the song Forever Young, as a montage of personal photos showing the pair as loved ones will remember them most. Eddie Lyons Snr and close family members then left to the waiting cars, with private security guards by their side as they left the funeral venue.